All right. Good afternoon, everyone. First off, I'd like to thank you for tuning in. As I understand, it's been relayed to us that if you're watching the broadcast on TV right now, it's a little blurry. So if that's the case, our understanding is that on Granicus, if you tune in via website, then it is not as blurry. Did I get that right, Michelle?
Right. It is clear on the live stream through the city's website. However, the cable channels are showing a blurry picture. You can still see it and hear it, but it might be a little blurry for you.
All right. So just a heads up on that. And then we had a question too about just why the earlier start time. This was the availability for our broadcast, so that's why we're starting a little earlier here. However, this is being recorded, and then we're going to push this clip out via email, hopefully tomorrow if the recording is up and running. So you'll have an opportunity to watch it at your own convenience. So just be aware of that. You can watch your convenience, which might be easier for some people because this will be a Q&A format and we have slides to go along it. So you could just simply scroll between where you wanted to get a specific question answered or a specific area of interest or question that you had that might make it more convenient for you because you recognize that people have time constraints. All right. So hi, I'm Dr. Jason Johnson, Superintendent of Schools, and I have with me Ms. Gluck, who's our principal on special assignment, Ms. Rockwell, who's our principal at Valley, and then Mr. Scott, who's our principal at View. Today we are giving a Q&A presentation. So a week or so ago that we allowed parents to submit questions upon the release of our reopening plan, which will be reopening the year under emergency distance learning. And today we will be answering those questions and giving some more information about various reopening activities as we close in on the beginning of the year. I'll start off by saying that expect tomorrow to start receiving various emails and letters from your sites with more details, and we'll talk a little bit more about that today as well. Michelle, can you go ahead and cue up the presentation, please? Excellent. All right, you can go ahead and do the slide. This is our reopening plan. It was provided during an August 7th email, and then we blasted it out again on Monday. It is also available on our website under the COVID-19 page. I strongly encourage you to read the plan in its entirety. We've gotten a lot of questions, and I would say that while it does by no means provides all the answers, it does provide a lot of the framework for our reopening plans. Slide. So the purpose of this reopening presentation is to provide answers for generalized concerns. If we receive very specific or niche questions, we've sometimes followed up with phone calls in order to address those with families. If tonight you don't feel like that your question was answered, then please reach out to myself or your site principal via email, and we will follow up with you in order to answer that question. This is also an opportunity for us to engage our community and continue to receive feedback. So we have the Reopening Schools Advisory Committee, and we've also put out surveys, and we've also received a lot of feedback from the community and staff in regard to our reopening plans, and we continue to work toward and evolve our plan to meet the needs best we can. As I mentioned at the last board meeting, that it is exceptionally challenging to have a definitive plan when the game is changing day by day. Every Thursday, we have our briefing with the LA Department of Health and Dr. Ferrer, and I can tell you without a doubt, even today, this situation continues to evolve rapidly, and in turn, our plan will have to be agile. I know that's very frustrating for parents, for teachers, it's frustrating for us, but it is just the nature of our times, and we will have to adjust, and we will do our best to communicate those changes in a timely manner with you. And so again, that leads into the last bullet point, is just acknowledging that, this is still very much a work in progress, and there are many pieces of this plan. And I know this from talking with other school districts, that there are many things that we are still figuring out. So keep the questions coming, keep the feedback coming. It helps guide us. We appreciate it. And we appreciate engaging in that dialogue as well. Slide. So next I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Rockwell, who's going to talk a little bit about our learning models, and then Ms. Rockwell and Mr. Scott are going to talk about our schedules under emergency closures. Take it away, Ms. Rockwell.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is an overview of the learning models that we will be offering during the 2020-2021 school year. On the left, you see hybrid learning in emergency distance learning. We are all starting back with the emergency distance learning model. That is a 5 days per week of virtual instruction at home during school closure. When it is safe to return to campus, we will enter a hybrid learning model where we alternate A and B days. That will be 2 to 3 days of in-person instruction and a blend of synchronous or live instruction and asynchronous instruction. On the right, you see 100% full distance learning. This is an opt-in model. When we return to a hybrid learning, families will have the opportunity to opt into a full distance learning model and continue to learn at home 5 days per week. This model will be a blend of asynchronous instruction and synchronous support. Students in this model will have access to HBCSD course offerings, which includes elementary specials and middle school STEAM-related electives. This model will consist of multi-grade level classes. So a student may be in a class with kindergartners, first graders, and second graders. This is due to the level of enrollment and the amount of staff available. And this model will be taught by credentialed HBCSD teachers. Slide, please. So we're going to go, Mr. Scott and I are going to go into a little more depth about each of these models and talk to you about the schedules. So the emergency school closure schedules, due to Governor Newsom's order, we will be starting the year in this schedule, which is distance learning. All HBCSD students will be enrolled in the emergency distance learning model. There is nothing you need to do special to enroll in this model. All students will be enrolled. This consists of 5 days of virtual instruction at home, a blend of synchronous and asynchronous instruction. And when we are able to open to a hybrid learning model, families will be given the option of continuing in a hybrid learning option with days on campus, or elect to participate in a full distance learning model. In this model, social emotional learning is embedded into our school day. Slide, please. Mr. Scott?
Okay, so now, thank you so much, Ms. Rockwell. My name is Ted Scott, the principal for most of you. And now we're looking at our emergency school closure schedule for K through 5. So you'll notice between 8 and 8:30, that's our students' time to wake up, get their morning breakfast, get started, set up their learning space, and basically prepare for the day. From 8:30 to 9 a.m., our teachers will be doing their morning meetings. Social emotional, it says SEL in there, which is social emotional learning components. Really, this is a time for connectedness for the teachers and their students, and students getting to know one another. Okay, this is a whole group synchronous section of our model, and basically that means that it will be live daily. The next learning block is from 9 to 10 a.m. This learning block is basically, it's an instructional block. It is going to be either math, reading, or writing, and it will be every day, 5 days a week. This will be whole group, small group, or online or offline. It could be synchronous or asynchronous. This is the time where teachers will communicate with you in these learning blocks so that you will know exactly where your student will be and what they'll be doing. But I want to point out something very important. In these instructional blocks, it doesn't mean that your student is going to be online the entire time. It is going to be a blended solution. Okay, so it's really important to point that out. The next block is a break, a 15-minute break for movement or snack break. And it's really important that we give our students those breaks, especially our younger students. They need to get the wiggles out. From that, we go to the 10:15 to 11:15 block, another instructional block that will be focused on math, reading, or writing. Again, it'll still be whole group, small group. It could be synchronous or asynchronous. Synchronous, again, is live instruction, and asynchronous will be digital instruction that will be provided for them. After that, students will then get a lunch break between 11:15 and 12. That is, again, really important. What we believe is that giving our students a schedule and a routine starting from the very beginning of the school year, it's really going to help stabilize them. And then in the hope is that we will return to hybrid learning and that schedule will already be created. So after lunch at 12 o'clock, we have an asynchronous block for schools PLP. You've probably heard a lot about schools PLP. I know Ms. Gluck's going to talk about it in a few moments. We're very, very excited to be offering that to our families. But that is an asynchronous program where students will be invited to participate online from 12 to 1. You'll notice that in that block, it also says science and social studies or specials. Now, the science or social studies will be asynchronous, but special areas, things like music, PE, those things could be either synchronous or asynchronous. They could be live. And again, the teachers will communicate with you so that you know exactly where your students are supposed to be during the school day. The next block of time is from 1 to 1:30. That is our interventions or enrichment period. During that period, that's a time for our teachers to really work with students in small group or one-on-one to really help support their learning and give them some extra support if they need it, or enrichment to extend their knowledge base. The very next block is 1:30 to 2, and that is a student office hours or parent office hours, giving you a chance to give us a call, give the teacher who stay in touch. The partnership with parents and their teachers is very, very important. So we really hope you utilize that time. Next slide, please.
I'm going to review, oh, sorry, Mr. Scott. I'm going to review the emergency school closure schedule for middle school. On Mondays, students will be attending all of their classes virtually. They start their day at 8 o'clock, setting up their learning space, logging onto their LMS and reviewing their learning plan that will be pushed out by teachers weekly. They then go to periods 1, 2, and 3, which are in 40-minute blocks. They have a 15-minute break away from the computer, and then they attend periods 4, 5, and 6. Then they have a lunch period that is 34 minutes on Monday. And then at 1:30, they have office hours, time for teachers to work individually with students who are struggling, and time for independent work completion. These period blocks consist of both synchronous and asynchronous instruction. All periods will begin with the synchronous time where students are on with their teacher on their computers, and teachers will take attendance. And then the period will consist of synchronous time and asynchronous time. Tuesday through Friday, they are rotating on a block schedule. So on Tuesday, they have periods 1, 2, 3. Wednesday, periods 4, 5, 6. Thursday, periods 1, 2, 3. And Friday, periods 4, 5, 6. This gives students an 80-minute block with their teacher rather than a shorter, briefer 40-minute block. So Tuesday through Friday, they start out their day at 8 o'clock like they did on Monday. Then they attend their first period for 81 minutes. We have traditionally built in a little extra time for our first period of the day on our regular schedule, as that period serves as a homeroom time for students and teachers. After period 2, they have a 15-minute break. They come back for their third period. Then they have a 35-minute lunch, which is the same lunch time that they had when they are physically on campus. Then from 1:20 to 2 o'clock, that is an office hours and intervention block time for students. Slide, please. We are now going to review the hybrid learning model, and this consists of 2 to 3 days of in-person instruction when school safely reopens. This will consist of alternating A/B days to promote social distancing. Elementary, so K through 5, will alternate physical presence on campus on Mondays, while middle school 6 through 8 has a virtual stacked period day on Monday, similar to the schedule we just looked at. There will be staggered entry, breaks, and release to promote social distancing. This will consist of a blend of synchronous and asynchronous instruction as well. All in-person instruction for elementary will emphasize reading, writing, and math. And just like all of our learning models, social emotional learning will be embedded into the school day. Slide, please.
Okay, so what you'll notice in the K3 schedule is, as Ms. Rockwell just said, these days are staggered, so students start at different times, and we've staggered those so that the entry of the school is unique, and we can really control the number of students coming on campus at any given time. From 8 to 8:30, if we look at the TKK, you'll notice that we have our morning meeting just as we had before, and then we move into our reading block, 8:30 to 9:50. Then we move into our break, our math writing block, and then they go to dismissal. It is, as Ms. Rockwell said, it's an AB schedule, so half the students will come, they'll be on the A block, and they will come to school on Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday, where the other ones will come Monday or Wednesday, Friday. So it's gonna alternate, with Mondays being the alternating day. That is gonna be consistent throughout our schedule and our block, all the way across K through 5. So again, you'll notice that the days may be, they're moved in about 20 minutes per class for our start and our stop times, but that gives us the opportunity. One thing I wanted to point out as you're looking at this schedule is the afternoon blocks. The students that are in the students that are present at school in the afternoon, they have asynchronous learning in the afternoon, where the students that are online that day, they have the synchronous block in the afternoons. So that is built in. Another thing to point out about this schedule is the social emotional learning that is built into the schedule every single day. Well, it's built in every week with specific learning blocks. Slide. Okay, 4 or 5 is very consistent. We built those together, Ms. Rockwell and I. So those schedules are almost identical to the K3 schedules as they are on the elementary schedule. Slide. All right.
Here is the hybrid learning schedule for middle school. It looks similar to the schedule we just reviewed in the emergency school closures schedule, but there are some differences. You'll see that on Monday, there is a stacked day consisting of all 6 periods in 40-minute blocks. That day will be virtual for students who will be learning at home, and will consist of synchronous and asynchronous instruction. So you still have a break built into the day on Monday, right after 3rd period, and then dismissal is in the afternoon at 12:56. Now that time is consistent throughout the day because students are virtual, and so social distancing is not taken into consideration there. There is a lunch block from 1 to 1:45, and then an independent work block from 1:45 until 2:45. Then you'll see on Tuesday through Friday, students will be on a block schedule, but it's slightly different because they'll be separated into cohort A and cohort B. That means that half of the students will be at home learning and half the students will be on campus learning. So on Tuesday, cohort A will come to school for periods 1, 2, and 3. On Wednesday, cohort B will come to school for periods 1, 2, and 3. On Thursday, cohort A will come to school for periods 4, 5, and 6. And on Friday, cohort B will come to school for periods 4, 5, and 6. And you'll see that the staggered entry, breaks, and release are built into the schedule with our 8th grade coming onto campus first at 8:05, 7th grade coming onto campus at 8:15, and 6th grade coming onto campus at 8:25. Those passing periods and breaks and release times are staggered throughout the day to accommodate for social distancing. Just like the Monday schedule, there is a dismissal time, a lunch time, and there is office hours and independent work completion time built into the afternoon. You'll notice in the final column, this is the out of school schedule. So when students, the cohort of students who is not on campus is at home, this says what they will be doing. They will be their day will consist of asynchronous instruction in various periods. So on Tuesday, when cohort A is on campus for periods 1, 2, and 3, cohort B is off campus asynchronously participating in periods 4, 5, and 6, and so on throughout the week. In the hybrid learning schedule, the office hours give priority to the cohort of students that are off campus so that they can have synchronous time with their teachers if they need it. Slide, please.
Yes, Rockwell, if I may. It's been relayed to me that our schedules are coming in pretty blurry. So just a reminder, everyone, if you want to review these schedules, they're available on our reopening plan, which is available in the emails that we sent, or you can view it on the website under the COVID-19 page to look in detail at the schedules. Thanks.
Thank you. The final learning model that we will review is the 100% opt-in distance learning model. This model is for families who, once we can return to a hybrid learning model with students on campus, who would like to choose to continue 5 days a week of virtual instruction at home. This model is a blend of asynchronous instruction and synchronous support. These students will have access to all of the course offerings, which would include elementary specials and middle school STEAM-related electives. These classes will be multi-grade level classes due to enrollment and credentialing, and will be taught by credentialed HBCSD teachers. Just like all of our models, social emotional learning will be embedded into the school day in the 100% opt-in distance learning model. Slide, please.
Okay, so, and I hate to admit this, but just like the audience, I have to look at a different screen because I can't see it. It's blurry, but I can look at a different screen. Okay, so the 100% opt-in distance learning schedule from 8 to 8:25, our teachers will be preparing their space while students will be working at home, preparing their space, getting breakfast, prepping for the day. From 8:25, oh gosh, hold on. Where did it go? It's leaving me, I'm sorry. Wow, okay.
I can jump in here, Mr. Scott, if you'd like, because I can see it.
I can't see it. That's the problem.
Oh, that's okay.
I know
That's okay.
But I can't read them.
I'll jump in here. So from 8 to 8:30, students will be prepping their learning space and logging onto their learning platform and reviewing the learning plan that teachers will be pushing out weekly. From 8:30 to 9 o'clock, and you see the color coding if you are looking at this in detail, that this color coding, the blue and the yellow, accounts for 2 groups, and that's because this is a multi-grade level model, and so the 100% opt-in distance learning teacher will be dividing their class into 2 groups based on grade and skill level. So that also provides them the opportunity to work with smaller groups and really target that instruction. So you'll see in blue, that is Group A. Group A from 8:30 to 9 o'clock will be participating in a morning meeting. And that's a time for connectedness, to take attendance, and to work on social emotional learning. While Group A is meeting synchronously with their teacher, you'll see in yellow, Group B is participating in asynchronous instruction pushed out by school's PLP. Then from 9 to 9:30, you can see that switches on Monday, where Group B is now participating in their morning meeting for that 30 minutes, working on connectedness, attendance, social emotional learning, while Group A then participates in asynchronous instruction on school's PLP. From 9:30 to 10 o'clock, both groups are participating in asynchronous instruction through school's PLP. Then there is a 15-minute break. And then 10:15 to 11:15 is another block of asynchronous instruction on school's PLP. 11:15 to 12 o'clock is a break for lunch. And then from from 12:30 to 1 o'clock is dedicated time for social emotional learning for Group A. Group B is participating in a school's PLP asynchronous block. And now my screen, I can't see. One moment, please. Okay, the final period of the day is in time for intervention and enrichment. This is time for teachers to work with students who are struggling and to push out opportunities for students to participate in extension activities. On Tuesday through Friday, you'll see a mirror of days alternating from Tuesday to Wednesday and then Thursday to Friday, where students participate in a morning meeting at 8:30 in Group A, and Group B participates in asynchronous instruction, similar to Monday. The difference here is that then from the 9 o'clock block, instead of the switch, you have a small group meeting with Group A that's focused on reading and writing, and Group B participates in asynchronous instruction. That time then switches after the break, where there is a small group meeting with Group B, so they're synchronously with their instructor, while Group A participates in asynchronous instruction. This model continues through the week to provide dedicated time to reading, writing, and math. Next slide, please. This is the 100% opt-in distance learning schedule for middle school. You'll see that it is very similar to the middle school schedules we have reviewed thus far. This schedule will overlay with our middle school schedule for students who are in a hybrid model. And that is because our credentialed teachers will be teaching as distance learning teachers within the areas that they are credentialed. So on Monday is a stacked day with periods 1 through 6 for 40-minute blocks. And then Tuesday through Friday, they rotate between periods 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6 in 80-minute blocks. Slide, please.
Ms. Rockwell, can you clarify one thing?
Yep.
I got a message from a parent. I just wanted to be able to answer it. The parent's question is, listening now and looking at the schedule, it appears to me that for the hybrid middle school schedule, each student will have 1 period of live instruction per class per week. Is this correct? Can you clarify that?
Which model were they asking about? I'm sorry.
That's hybrid.
Yes, that is correct. So they will have 1 live period with an 80-minute block with an instructor per week, but they will have an asynchronous period with that instructor at home. So they will be attending Tuesday through Friday physically in class with one of their teachers, and then the following day they will be participating in a pushed out lesson asynchronously. Office hours are available every day, and every Monday they will be checking in with all of their teachers.
Thank you.
Okay, so the first day's activities at VIEW, we're calling this Zooming to Know You. On the first days of school, Thursday, September 3rd and Friday, September 4th, I am inviting parents to drive by the school between 7:30 and 8:30 a.m. to wave at me. I'll be out there with some of my staff members. We'll all be wearing our masks and we'll be socially distanced, but we really want to start the year off with as much normalcy as possible, and we'd love to see you drive by. So that's the first thing. Some staff, like I said, will be joining me. And then we also want to know that the first few days of school, our teachers are going to be participating in what we're calling Zooming to Know You. So they'll be having Zooms with their classes, with whole group, small group, and one-on-one to really get some time to get to know kids and build that community within their classrooms. And so that's how the first few days are going to start. We can't wait to see you. Slide, please.
So for first day activities at Valley, I will also be out in front of the school from 7:30 to 8:30 on the first day. So if parents and students would like to drive by and wave to Valley staff, some of us will be there at the front and we'd love to see you. While elementary students follow a similar schedule to VIEW, middle school will start Thursday on a block schedule with their first 1, 2, and 3 period days. Friday will be a 4, 5, 6 day. And on Monday, there will be a holiday for all students. So then we will rejoin on Tuesday, September 8th with a period 1, 2, 3 day, just like every Tuesday. In the first few days here at Valley, we will all be focusing on community building and adjusting to distance learning, which includes the logistics of logging into their classes on those first few days of school. The day before school starts, I will be pushing out a Zoom invite sheet, like Mr. Scott was talking about, Zooming to Know You, that will have all of the Zoom addresses for all of the teachers in alphabetical order. So students will be able to follow their schedule and click on the corresponding link and attend their class. Slide, please.
Good evening, everyone. I am happy to report that Hermosa Beach City School District, along with the City of Hermosa Beach and Star Education, has worked in partnership to provide an option for our families. Just to let everyone know, HBCSD EDP is suspended for this school year based on the guidelines that we need to follow. But Star Education is jumping in, and they will be providing childcare at the Hermosa Beach Community Center. They will adhere to CDC, state, county health guidelines across and during the pandemic. They're providing childcare from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. And the option is 5 days a week. They also have a half-day program, a morning program and an afternoon program. There is very limited availability for this program. We will be sending a flyer out to our families tomorrow. The email is listed there. It's www.starinc.org, and there's a phone number for you to contact them. One thing that I want to point out is that they will help with classroom and schoolwork and homework completion. They have in-person assistance during the synchronous time of instruction. And what's really exciting, they're an educational program, they're award-winning, and they have a ton of enrichment. And our school district has worked very close with them over the last few years, and they've done an excellent job. And I know many of our kinder families have used them in the past, and it's just a fabulous program. Slide, please. Now we're moving on to our portion of Schools PLP. Schools PLP is our learning management system that we will be introducing to our district this year. As you can see, this is the interface of what it will look like. Students will sign on with a single sign-on. There will be an icon that they will be able to access the program. What you're seeing on the right-hand side with those 5 tiles are 5 coursework that students would be assigned. This is a 3rd grade classroom. There's language arts, math, science, social studies, and there's a social emotional component. There's various icons that are located, so students will be able to see what their grade is in the class, what percentage of work has been completed. At the top, there is a portion where there's announcements. Students will need to read the announcements before they move on to do their coursework. Slide, please. Once a student clicks on a tile, this is an example of a math tile, you can have a view of what a student would see. So for elementary school, there is always a parent and teacher guide, so parents can always download and look at a guide to see what their students are learning in each individual course or unit. There's activities, that is their to-do. They're in folders, and then there's a to-do list as well, and that would be what students would need to complete for the day. Slide, please. Now we're moving on to our question and answer session. And these are questions that were submitted to Superintendent Johnson and have been compiled. Dr. Johnson, do you want to review what the categories that we'll be addressing next?
Yes, and the first category is in schools PLP. And our first question is from Ms. Gluck. How does schools PLP handle students that need either remediation or acceleration? The information states that students will be told of work for the week, but not how they could be further challenged or assisted.
Okay, Hermosa Beach City School District distance learning schedule provides for daily synchronous and asynchronous intervention, as well as acceleration at the end of each school day. From 1 to 1:30 for TK through 5 and 2 to 120 to 2 for grades 6 through 8. Teachers will be able to assign students work based on where they are at academically. They may use the Bright Thinker curriculum that can be utilized for enrichment as well as remediation. And Schools PLP is a learning management system which allows teachers to provide customized coursework for students as they see fit. Teachers may choose to also differentiate the curriculum as needed. So there's various options that can be used with Schools PLP as well as with the teacher providing students with work that they see the student needs to either accelerate or to be challenged, or if they need some remediation. Slide, please.
All right, does Schools PLP work with PowerSchool for parents to check on grades and assignments, or will there be a parent login for Schools PLP?
Okay, so Schools PLP does integrate with PowerSchool. As teachers assign classwork from Schools PLP curriculum, work completion as well as scores will be populated in PowerSchool as well as Schools PLP. Students can share with parents the dashboard from Schools PLP. There is also a login for parents as well. And there is a current score and progression of completion of work depicted on each individual student's tile for each subject matter. So the answer is yes. Slide, please.
When will students and parents be able to access Schools PLP?
So as Principal Rockwell and Principal Scott stated, the first few days of school are going to be community building, and we really want our families and our students to really get to know their teachers and their classmates. So although Schools PLP will be available for students to log in, we will be rolling it out the following week. We want to make sure that the teachers have an opportunity to meet with their class, and we want to provide our teachers with the ability to introduce Schools PLP to students and share with students how to log in, access their assignments, and how to complete work. As a district, we're working on a website for distance learning that will provide parents and students with tutorials that they may need to access Schools PLP or any additional support they may need. Slide, please.
All right, our next question is about grading and assessment. How will grading work in emergency school closures, hybrid, and/or 100% distance learning? Mr. Scott, you're still muted.
There you go. Sorry about that. I was muted. HBCSD will utilize our traditional grading protocols in all learning models for the 2021 school year. Attendance and work completion is required. Students will receive citizenship grades based on their participation and engagement. Teachers will continue to grade assignments on a traditional A through F scale in grades 6 through 8, or the 1 through 4 scale standards-based grading scale in the primary levels. Slide.
All right, next, will there be standardized testing this 2020-21 school year?
So it remains to be seen whether or not there will be standardized testing in the 2020-2021 school year. We will be planning on testing taking place and will prepare our students accordingly. Next slide, please.
All right, our next question is on curriculum and instruction. First question is, what is intervention/enrichment? And this is in reference to a block on the schedule designated for intervention and enrichment.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. In the classroom, interventions are activities that we would use for students to become successful with their classroom curriculum. We know that there's an impact of learning loss due to COVID-19 pandemic. Interventions will be used to support students in filling gaps. That said, we are working on very specific building target instruction to support our students in all of their learning losses through an intervention protocol. Enrichment, we offer enrichment for students who are exceeding expectations and have shown a need to learn at higher levels than the typical classroom. That's one of the definite silver linings about this is through Schools PLP, we're going to have some amazing offers for students in that area. It allows students who need the extra challenge in the classroom to stay engaged and interested in learning while we continue to support the entire classroom. Slide, please.
How will PE be managed?
So middle school PE will continue as a standalone class, and they will be offering, they're basically going to start with a fitness unit and then move through a sport a month, starting with basketball and then football in the fall. We're also working with our middle school PE department to offer social emotional learning during this time as well. Elementary PE will continue to run as a special, and students will receive an effort grade for their participation.
Next question is, can we choose our own small groups? So I believe this question is in relation to our schedule, where during synchronous instruction, students may be assigned to smaller groups during the reading, writing, and math blocks, where teachers will provide instruction in a smaller breakout sessions. In this case, the answer is no. When teachers create small groups, they base that off a variety of factors. One may be trying to create heterogeneous groups, so there's balance among students and learner ability, or they might try to create homogeneous based groups where the learners are alike in order to support the activity. These are teacher moves, though we are making sure that our teachers work within those blocks of time for synchronous instruction. How a teacher designates their classes, their small groups, will be instructional decisions and not necessarily parent selection. Slide. When will we know specific schedules for synchronous and asynchronous learning times? So as of right now, you're provided with a framework of when synchronous and or asynchronous instruction takes place. During the first weeks of school, teachers will relay schedules based off of their understanding of their classes and the students and those needs. So it may take time, and then those schedules within those blocks may evolve based off the students' needs and how the teachers are choosing to work with students. Again, I'll emphasize that while students need to work within those, while teachers need to work within those instructional block times, that synchronous and asynchronous instruction schedules may vary depending on the class and the teacher who's grouping those students. Slide. What resources are available for reading? Also, how will the district handle screen reading fatigue? Ms. Gluck, you're muted.
Thank you. Our teachers will work as a team to provide reading resources for students. In the first weeks of school, each school site principal will designate a day for families to pick up materials for the school year. We'll do this on a trimester basis, just so the audience knows. This may include workbooks, novels, and other needed school supplies to complement the curriculum. In an effort to support early literacy in the lower grades, we will provide online subscriptions for reading aids for kindergarten through Reading Aids for Kindergarten and RAS Kids for K through 2. Teachers K-8 will continue to use best practices from Reader's Workshop, teacher-created materials, and schools PLP. Middle school teachers will continue to integrate Study Sync into their curriculum. In an effort to handle screen time and screen fatigue, the district has built-in breaks, asynchronous instruction, and teachers will use movement and brain breaks throughout the day. And we are recommending to our teachers to utilize small group instruction to conference with students to provide intervention and remediation and to work with students one-on-one. So that should create a balance for instruction and give you an answer in regards to all the resources that are available for reading. Slide, please.
When can we expect information regarding class, teacher, and logistical information about necessary supplies for home learning for incoming kindergartners?
I'll take this one, Dr. Johnson. Thank you. Parents and guardians will be able to see which class their students are in once they've completed the registration paperwork, starting the week of August 24th. Past that, teachers will be reaching out before school starts with specifics on necessary supplies. And Ms. Rockwell and I both will be sending out correspondence to all of our families, letting you know about school supplies and necessary items to get started. Slide.
And Mr. Scott, did you sorry if I didn't catch it, did you say when those newsletters would go out?
Newsletters will start going out tomorrow, and there'll be more correspondence at the start of next week as well.
Thank you. Sorry, I knew I had to get caught by it eventually. All right. When the school goes to hybrid 100% distance learning, will the students change teachers? This is a great question, and it has to do with our approach to schedule. And yes, we made a decision 2 weeks ago to not have our parents decide between hybrid and distance learning, with the knowledge that we would be getting the year under distance learning for some time. When LA County comes off the watch list, and we are able to reopen schools under the LA Department of Health guidelines, we will pivot in order to move towards 2 models. Hybrid for those families that want their child to attend school 50% of the week, and then 100% distance learning for those students that, those families that do not want their child to return. As we understood, what we didn't want to do is we didn't want to create 2 tracks of distance learning. So 100% or emergency school closures distance learning, and then 100% opt-in distance learning, because we would effectively have 2 distance learning tracks, which makes it very difficult for our families to choose between the 2, particularly if distance learning extends for a period of time. Therefore, we decided to begin everyone in emergency school closures, so we all began in the same spot and we're having the same or equitable distance learning experience. The downside to this is when we do pivot and reopen schools, there will be schedule changes. Now, we were up against this regardless, because even with the hybrid and 100% distance learning tracks, most school districts are allowing parents and families to re-choose between tracks at trimester or semester breaks. So we were going to experience a shuffling of students in one direction or the other direction, depending on what parents opted into. However, and those will have impacts on the schedule and cause a rebalance of students. Again, we're not happy about this. This is a product of emergency measures. We took a course of action that we felt would create the most stability at this time. And we have looked at some ways that we can mitigate the changes in classes that may take place if we do pivot to hybrid learning when that does happen. But however, yes, there is a possibility that there would be some schedule changes. There would obviously be schedule changes for those teachers, those students that would be moving into 100% distance learning, and perhaps some for those that would be moving into hybrid. Both pathways were imperfect, but the way that we came to this decision in consultation with the reopening committee was that one way or another, we were going to face this at least twice during the course of the school year at the trimester marks when we allow families to opt in or out of hybrid and or 100% distance learning, and then in an effort to have everyone start from the same spot to create continuity in distance learning experiences. Slide. Can the school district schedule students in the same pod and into the same classes? So yes, we are very aware, and many families have been very diligent in reaching out to us to ask if they could be scheduled in the same pod class. So one thing that we have looked at is when we do move into hybrid learning, trying to work with families when it comes to cohorting, so cohort A or cohort B. However, something that we were unable to provide is scheduling students in the same class for pods. This is nothing new in the sense that schedules are built with a lot of intricacy at the elementary and the middle school level. At the middle school level, schedules are built with class balance in mind in order to make a master schedule work where students are experiencing 6 periods a day. It is very difficult to run a master schedule, speaking as someone who formerly used to create master schedules as an assistant principal. And so the idea of running students within pods would create pretty much I can speak to that, just a mathematical logistical impossibility, because pods really follow no rules in regard to student schedules. How a pod ends up together has, is divorced from how students' preferences in regards to elective classes grade level. At the elementary level, classes are built with balance. So classes are built to be heterogeneous, where you have an equal number of types of learners in any given classroom in order to create class balance. Same thing under pods. Pods follow no class balance rules in regards to the types of learners that are in a room. So if the school district were to choose to schedule pods, schedule students in the same classes for pods, you would create classes, perhaps of pods, classes not with pods, but it would not follow any sort of class balance in order to create an equitable learning experience between each student's classroom. This could effectively turn some classes into haves and have-nots, or haves pods and have-nots pods. This is something that also too, if we do it for one group of pods, we have to do it for all of them. Same thing for the sake of equity. Therefore, school districts at this time, and I don't think that we're alone here, cannot schedule students based off of the pods that they're in, and that is the logic behind not wanting to do it. It's not just intransigence or just refusing to do so. There is equity and class balance matters and scheduling logistics in mind that would be disrupted and make scheduling very difficult, or at the very least inequitable. So this is why the school is unable. However, the school district is also highly invested and has built a schedule and has worked with their teachers and teachers union to create common grade level experiences. So if you notice in our schedule, we have an extraordinary amount of teacher planning time where grade levels will be meeting and coordinating with each other to create common distance learning experiences. And that includes pacing plans as well. So in turn, if students are in different classes, but they're of the same grade level, their distance learning experiences should not be remarkably different from each other. So we do feel that that is how we are addressing this issue, not through pod scheduling, but through creating common distance learning experiences. And that is based upon the schedule, the grade level planning structure, and our work with our teachers to do so. Slide. Question is, will you allow exceptions for students that are out of state or out of the country to log in at different times for attendance? This is a really good question, and I understand too that some families may not be in the state in order for various reasons. So there's a few different things on this. One is that we're happy to work with you the best that we can. But I would say if you're residing in a different state, then technically speaking, you should be registering for school in whatever region that you're in. I understand with distance learning, it allows you to stay with Hermosa, and to be honest with you, we want you to stay with Hermosa. But I would say, technically speaking, in a public forum, that you should be registering with your local school district for attendance. That said, from a work standpoint, I don't see a reason against it, but we're bound by AB 98 to take daily attendance, and that includes for synchronous instruction. So for the synchronous instruction and beginning of the day or beginning of the period attendance pieces, we're actually required by the state to take attendance, and that's under distance. That would even be the case in 100% distance learning. So we don't have a lot of wiggle room when it comes to taking attendance, and we really do want our students present for the majority of those synchronous learning experiences in order to keep up with the class. So I know it's kind of a multifold answer, but we got the question multiple times, so we included it in. And feel free to contact myself or the site principal to kind of discuss further. And this will be something that we're working with our teachers on as well. Slide. Okay. If I choose to have an at-home pod, can my daughter simply complete the daily tasks identified by HBCSD and submit her work online each day or week on our own schedule and still get credit for completing the year? Or does she have to be signed into the school's virtual PLP and present for roll call every morning participating in order to get HBCSD credit for completing the year? So the answer is a good question, and we included it because we've gotten this question quite a bit. So I'm going to give kind of like a multi-answer here. So as I mentioned before, we're required by AB 98 in order to take daily attendance during synchronous instruction at the beginning of each period or at the beginning of each school day. And then the schedule breaks out into synchronous or asynchronous experiences. If your student has an individual need, I mean, like, and if they are completing all of their work and keeping up, I would suggest working with your teacher in order to see what flexibility is possible. However, though, I would also caveat that with that what we are concerned with is those students that are unable to keep up, not participating in synchronous experiences, and therefore that would be an issue because that falls under a problem, again, with the law about ensuring that students are attending and they're also engaged. What we ask is that our families begin the year with our teacher, follow the synchronous schedule, and then we will go from there in regards to how to support individual needs. We recognize that we need to be flexible and that we need to support those families and parents that do not have the resources or the time to be able to support all synchronous experiences. We understand that. But I would again suggest to start the school year and try to see what is working, what is not working, and then working individually with that teacher. And then we are also looking into other possibilities in regard to scheduling for those students that are really struggling with maintaining the synchronous schedule. But as of right now, we're moving towards keeping everyone on the same distance learning plan. Slide. One of my children is entering 6th grade and is feeling somewhat anxious regarding the transition to middle school. Will there be any type of virtual guidance helping to ease the incoming 6th graders into the new middle school routine?
Well, as a former 6th grade teacher, this question really is close to my heart. I know how hard that transition is for students. Our 6th grade team has traditionally done an excellent job of helping our students adjust to middle school and all the changes that come with that shift. This year will be no different. We are working on a middle school orientation presentation for 6th graders. In addition to this, all of our teachers will be focusing on building community and helping our students adjust to remote learning. Social emotional curriculum will be incorporated into our PE classes so that students have a consistent adult to work with on social emotional wellness. And Valley will also have a full-time counselor for the 2020-2021 school year that will work on supporting students academically and emotionally. Next slide.
What will be an SEL or social emotional learning instruction?
Thank you so much, Dr. Johnson. So in partnership with Beach Cities Health District, we are committed as a district to the CASEL or CASEL Mind Up curriculum, as well as the CASEL Reunite, Renew, and Thrive social emotional learning roadmap for reopening schools in the 2021 school year. That said, the first few components of the program that we're working on will be taking time to cultivate and deepen relationships, building partnerships and supporting our students' social emotional learning, as well as designing opportunities where adults can connect, heal, and build their capacity to support their students. So we really are, this is a cornerstone of our plan for the year and are very, very excited to offer this for our students. Slide.
Will there be social emotional services and/or resources to help support students and their families during the continued remote learning? I know I am not alone in being concerned about all of our children's mental health and fortitude through this, let alone whatever anyone else may be experiencing in their homes.
Thank you so much for this question. The administrative team has been working tirelessly to build balanced classrooms in all settings, including our kindergarten classrooms. Based on the data that we have available, the key to our kindergarten success this year is going to be based on the relationships that are created with students, teachers, and our parent partners at home. We are committed to building these important foundational relationships. We have been looking at a variety of measures to support our students as much as physically possible in building those class lists. So that's a great question. Thank you so much for that one. Slide.
So this question is about hybrid learning. How will students be split into cohorts A and B for middle schoolers in the hybrid on-campus model?
Absolutely. So classes will be split into half with a maximum of 16 students in each class to support social distancing. The district will be working with families with siblings to ensure that they're on the same schedule, and we will also make every attempt to work with families who have students learning pods and try to accommodate where we can. Slide, please.
Once the hybrid learning starts, will there be a seamless way for students to still attend and participate in school through distance learning even on days they are assigned to be physically in the classroom, but are required to stay home as they show some health symptom? Given the hypersensitivity to any sort of symptom of illness, I imagine there will maybe days where a student has a minor symptom, small occasional cough, but still feels well enough to participate in learning.
Thank you. Schools PLP is a bridge to assist students who may be outside of the cohort for a period of time. The coursework provided by Schools PLP is aligned to the California content standards. We also encourage students to find a buddy in each class that can assist students with what is happening or what they are missing in class when they are absent. This is a best practice that is encouraged when we're in school and when we're not in school, and when we'll be participating in distance learning. Lastly, our teachers will be there to assist students in the classroom as needed, and will be flexible with ensuring that our students do not fall behind. Right?
All right, this question's on technology. Will students be offered Chromebooks and laptops for distance learning, and when will they be available? So the answer is yes, and I'm gonna first begin with that we have recently purchased infrastructure in order to support our bring your own device policy. So right now, if you already have a Chromebook, or if you're interested in purchasing a Chromebook for your child, that Chromebook can now be used on campus when you return. So prior, if you had your own device at home, you could not bring that device to school. It would not be usable on our campus or able to connect to our internet. So we've created infrastructure now where any family can purchase their own device, so long as it's a Chromebook or a Chromebook tablet, and that device can now hook up to our infrastructure. For those families that are in need of a Chromebook, we have Chromebooks available for checkout. That will be part of your registration packet that will come out tomorrow. Nod your head, admin team, if I got that right. Tomorrow? There we go. Yeah, I knew I'd get something right here. Okay. So your registration packet should come out tomorrow, and that will provide our user agreement, where you can then state that you want to check out a Chromebook for your child. Chromebooks will be available for checkout between August 31st and September 2nd, and that will be from 8 to 3. Admin team, nod your head too if I got the times right. I believe that's from 8 to 3 o'clock. Thank you. Okay. We, again, if you are in need of a Chromebook, and that covers all grade spans as well too. So any student that is in need of a Chromebook can check one out, and that will be in with your registration. Slide. Last semester, the Chromebook we borrowed from the school did not have Zoom client installed. Will the school be making that Zoom desktop client, as well as any other software required for distance learning, is installed on the Chromebooks? Sorry, I misread your sentence. Yes, so just recently, our PTO helped us purchase Zoom licenses for all of our teachers. So Zoom will be available for our students, and they will be able to, all teachers will have Zoom licenses to be able to access, and that will be available through the Chromebooks. The Chromebooks will be compatible with Zoom. That should not be an issue. And again, if you're using your own device, or if you're even using an outside device, such as an Apple or a MacBook or an HP laptop, and you're not hooking into our system, that should all be compatible with Zoom, which is one of the things we like about Zoom, is compatible with all features. So this will be covered under our current technology plan. And thank you to the PTO for supporting our school district with Zoom. Slide. Will my incoming kindergartner be receiving a Chromebook or tablet for emergency distance learning, or will we be required to purchase our own? And no, all grade levels will be provided a Chromebook if they so choose. You do have the ability now to purchase your own, and that Chromebook or Chrome tablet will be able to be used once we return to schools under our new bring your own device policy. So if you want the latest model of Chromebook or tablet, you can do so now, and that device can now be brought to school and utilized. However, if you are in need, we will be able to check out a Chromebook for your kindergarten student. Slide. How will we be supporting students with special needs? So this is going to be a bit of a long answer, and I'm going to begin with our current situation. So currently, right now, under the LA Department of Health guidelines, we are to provide teletherapy services, and that includes instructional assistance for those students that have that service, speech therapy, OT services, specialized academic instruction. Under the current LA Department of Health guidance, those services will need to be provided via teletherapy. During the first week of school, your case manager or case carrier, whether it be your speech provider, school psychologist, or your special education teacher, will be reaching out to all of our families and establishing temporary distance learning plans for the school year, so long as we're in distance learning. So expect that contact soon. Shortly, you'll be receiving a letter, an email from Ms. Gluck, which will provide more information and details about services, as well as when that communication is coming from your case manager and the establishment of distance learning plans to begin the school year. However, last week, Governor Newsom announced his intention to do his best to try to allow students with special needs or various other at-risk students with in-person services and/or assessments. The California Department of Health is planning to release guidance tomorrow in regard to this issue about trying to provide our students with in-person services. And then in turn, the Los Angeles Department of Health will follow the California Department of Health's guidance and provide us guidance with our ability to do so. So here's my take on this, and I'm just being honest. I have, played the game with the Department of Health, saying that they're going to issue guidance, and in turn, us sitting and waiting for that guidance. We cannot provide in-person services until the Department of Health says that we can do so. I am confident from everything that I've learned in these briefings that that guidance will be provided. I am not confident of when that guidance will be provided. They say it will be tomorrow. Okay, I will believe it when I see it. And I hope that they're going to get in tomorrow, but I cannot tell you how many times the Department of Health or the California Department of Health have said they're going to release something and just simply not done so or been late or delayed. That said, I am confident that they are going to allow some type of in-person services and/or at least allow for in-person assessment for our students with special needs. And when they do so, we will do so as well too. We will follow the safety protocols that they provide for us, because we have every intention of trying to provide our at-risk students with assessments and/or in-person services, because we know that is the best thing for them. When we have the information, we will make sure that you have the information. I promise you, we will not sit on this, that we will be quicker than the Department of Health. I can promise you that. So that is where services stand right now. As of right now, it is teletherapy. And we also, again, in that first week of school, your case manager will be reaching out, and they will be setting up distance learning plans during emergency school closures and working with each of their families to establish a schedule and what services will look like in order to best support our students and our families under the current emergency measures. And we will put out, if we learn more from the California Department of Health or LA Department of Health on their updates to the provisions for providing in-person services or assessments, then we will also release that to our families. So one of the reasons you have not heard from us this week is because we are awaiting the Department of Health to provide issuance of guidance, that or the California Department of Education. So everyone in LA County is in the same boat right now, and providing teletherapy, and we hope to be able to have more answers soon about our most vulnerable students. If you should have questions, please reach out to myself or Ms. Gluck, and we will follow up with you. And again, we hope to have more information as we carry on here. And we thank you for working with your children, and we 100% recognize that this is a pressing issue, and we want answers. Here, I'll give you an example. Today, in our briefing with Dr. Ferrer, I was the person pushing, saying, hey, I don't need my question answered at this point. I just need you to give it to me in writing that we can do this. I'm not sure if she was very happy with me, but I do think that that is what we need at this point. We just need the written guidance to be able to do so, because until they do so, the Department of Health has told us that we cannot provide what they have not issued out as protocol or guidance. These are mandates. They're not suggestions. I appreciate your patience. I'm sure it is extremely frustrating, and we know that you're in need, and we have every intention of working with you. So thank you for what you're doing and how much you've supported your child up until this point. Slide. So this question is, my daughter is starting TK, and I noticed that TKK is being combined this year. Does that mean that next school year, 2021 and 2022, she would repeat K, or would she be tested for moving on to first grade?
Thank you so much for this question. TK and K are not being combined this year. They have individualized curriculum that will be utilized. So if you have a student entering TK, the student will participate in kindergarten curriculum in the 2021-2022 school year. So that must be a misnomer out there. We're not combining TK and K. Next slide.
Michelle, can you go ahead and close the presentation? So that concludes our presentation, right on time. Nice job, team. And these were the questions that we received about our reopening plans. Let me just say, I recognize that this does not answer all of the questions and contingencies that come with reopening. The truth is, and I have my weekly meeting with local superintendents each week, and that while many have plans, not everyone has the answers to every contingency. And we'll continue to be flexible and agile and try to answer as best we can, and also just be very upfront about what is still very much a work in progress. And I don't know of a community that that is not the case, where like it is, and sometimes day by day. We try to get ahead of it as best we can, but I also believe in being realistic about the assessment of where we're at as a society and as a local community. If you feel that tonight your question did not get answered or inspired more questions, I encourage you to reach out to myself or Ms. Gluck or the site principal in regard to what that question is, and we will do our best to follow up and answer it. And we really do try to make every effort to any question that we're asked to follow up with that parent or family member in order to support our answers the best we can, or acknowledge that like we're not quite there yet. So I again just want to really thank our parents and our teachers and our stakeholders. It is not just the administrative team that has been working this summer. We have many teachers that have served on committees. We have many parents that have been working actively with us. Hermosa Beach Ed Foundation and our PTO have been tirelessly working and brainstorming and supporting the ins and outs of the reopening of schools. And the city, it has really been a whole village effort this summer. And I just really want to thank all stakeholders and particularly our Board of Education. It is not easy to be a representative during these times. Remember, our Board of Education, they are volunteers, and it is a tough job right now. So we're very, very grateful to the Hermosa Beach community. We know that you've been put at great strain during these times last year. We promise you that we plan to come out swinging with our distance learning program. we recognize that there were a lot of things that needed improvement from the past year. And I can assure you that from custodian to teacher to instructional assistant to administrator to board member, that we are absolutely committed to delivering a better distance learning experience. If we have to be here, and we don't want to be here, but if we have to be, we know that we're going to have to continue to improve and to grow to give our kids what they need. I really believe that wholeheartedly. I've been a principal during distance learning, and now as a superintendent, I know that schools will continue to adjust to be better, because that's simply what educators do. I mean, like, that they meet the moment. And I know that that's what our families have done also. So thank you for that. Thank you for your support. Continue to stick with us. I promise you, like, even if we don't have all the answers, we will continue to be responsive and work with you. And I thank you for tuning in this afternoon. Again, if anyone you know that missed it and like, darn it, I missed the presentation, we recorded this and we're going to post it. It'll be posted online, and then I'm going to send out an email just as a friendly reminder that people can tune in and watch the video. You can skip around too if you want to miss this boring speech that I just gave. So I just really, really appreciate your time, and again, we're very grateful. So thank you. Have a good evening, and be safe. Wear a mask. Bye.